Ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely welcome you to the very first episode of Noodle Wars. Hello. Let me sit a little over. Hold on. There we go. Well, also green screen. No, the other one. No, that's just my mic. Well, anyway, hello. And welcome to Noodle Wars, where we're gonna be seriously looking, tasting, rating and ranking different kinds of instant ramen noodles. That's right. The delicacy scorned at by many, but enjoyed by even more. That's right. Now, first of all, before we go any further, there's one thing we need to address. One crucial thing. This is not a cooking show. Let me explain. You see, when I did the research for this show, I was looking through various forums and sites to see how other people prepare their noodles. And what I discovered was that lots of people added stuff to their instant ramen noodles. They would add all kinds of things like vegetables, I don't know, eggs, just all sorts of stuff, you know, to make it better. But to me, that sounds a lot like cooking. And this isn't cooking. No. You eat this when you don't wanna cook. So why would you make the preparation of this, let's call it meal anyway, of this meal into a cooking manner? And that's the very first reason why you're even eating this, right? So, we're not gonna be cooking, we're not gonna be adding anything, and that's gonna be it. Yeah. So, yes, no cooking. See, we're gonna be looking at this in its purest form, you see. So only things that are in packaging truly matter. Alright? We're not gonna be adding anything. We're only gonna be judging what's inside the packaging itself. That's the deal here. Right? That's our show. Now today, we're gonna be doing what I would consider like a golden standard of these noodle soups, right? And that's it's this one called. Hold on, it's kind of see-through. It's I guess called Yum Yum. Chicken flavor. And yes, that's like the golden standard, the very solid experience, what I would call it. So yes, that's gonna be the stuff we're gonna be looking at today. So yeah, we're gonna start with that. We're gonna go through various ways of preparation, you know, and deciding, or rather I'm gonna be describing to the different ways how to prepare this meal. You start with the best one, bold move. Oh, no. Don't get me wrong. This isn't what I would strictly call best one. It's more and more the most solid one, you know? That's what I would call it. It's very solid, it's very reliable. When I eat this, I know it's gonna be at least okay. Right? And throughout this show, which is gonna be running every week on Monday, the first episode is running on Tuesday because, yeah, because I had a rougher day yesterday. But anyway, it's gonna be running every Monday, and every week we're gonna be looking at different kinds from different, you know, aspects of them. Yeah, that's the deal here. So like I said, we're gonna be starting with what I would call the standard, you know? The very reliable, solid product, which you know what to expect from. And we're gonna be delving into the very worst ones, as well as the very best ones. I will get to them in time, but for now it's time to switch to our noodle cam. Yes, that's right, you can notice a picture here. Hold on, let me get this out of the way. You might know it's American Gothic. And these two lovely people are gonna be watching you the entire fucking time. So, let's talk about this, right? So, here's a crucial thing. Lovely couple on the playmat. That's right. Here's one crucial question. First of all, you're gonna have to ask yourself. And there's quite a bit of let's call it fighting on the internet on this topic. And that's a topic of: do you break the noodles or do you keep them intact? Now, believe it or not, this largely depends on really the way you are, used to, or do you prefer preparing these noodles, right? Because if you break them or not, will quite drastically alter your experience. Because if you keep them intact, you can slurp the noodles. The noodles stay intact. They are not, they're not chopped up into pieces or anything. And you can slurp them. However, eating them, it might be slightly more, let's call it challenging, right? You will not do too well with just a spoon, right? So, that's why if you, like me, for example, are used to actually preparing these in just a plate, you very much may want to break them up. Especially if you're using spoon, because if they're intact, it's gonna be a little more difficult to literally take them in, because they're gonna slip off the spoon, right? They're gonna just wanna slide just all over the place. I have tried it that way as well, but it might be, slightly messier. Also depends on if you actually like to slurp or not. That's one thing. Right. So, do we break them or not? Or rather, let me actually let me actually come back to why you might want to break them or not break them. So, like I said, if you're using spoon or a plate, it might be better to break them up. It makes it easier to consume them and all that stuff. I'm gonna actually go a little bit into this matter even once we're done with breaking or not breaking them up. But so if you just break them up, it generally makes things easier. You need less water, because if you break them up into chunks, you can spread them better around your plate or bowl or anything. Yeah, that's also one thing to consider. Save some water. But if you can, or if your style of preparation allows it, you can keep them intact and happily slurp away. That's definitely a factor for some people, as I've found out, as well from my own experience. So yeah, I guess that's that. There's just like so many ways to prepare this actually. So like in my country, what we typically use is this. It's like a boiling kettle, just pour some water, press on, and it boils it either in matter of seconds or minutes, depending on how powerful the kettle is. This one is quite powerful actually. It's it's actually powerful enough to trigger the circuit breaker, so we'll see if that happens. Anyway, so yeah, we typically use that, and then we put the noodles in, and then we pour the boiling water in the plate itself. However, a lot of people may use actually the stove. Put the water and noodles in some sort of pot, boil it, and then pour it into the container of your choice from which you're gonna be consuming these noodles. Alright? Some people even use microwave, which I guess it works. I mean, definitely works. But I would be a little bit hesitant. Food from microwave oven typically comes out a little bit, you know, not exactly fresh. You know, it's a lot of heat, really fast, really intense. But I think, let's be honest, this thing is already fake enough. So why not just use actual boiling water? If you're gonna use it in microwave, definitely works. I would be a little bit worried that they would turn a little squishy, the noodles, I mean. So I definitely don't do that. Not that I've ever tried it, actually, now that I think of it. Yeah. But anyway, I would recommend just boiling the water and going with that. So yeah. So like I said, now the decision, do we break or not break the noodles? Well, why don't we do just both? Now, I read some pretty funny comments to me that why would you break them up? It's gonna get so messy. Well, the thing is, you break them up before you pull them out of the packaging. That's the way it works, right? Of course, if you're gonna open it up, pull the whole noodle block out, well, and then break them up, well, it's gonna be really messy. I mean, you're gonna have the fucking noodles everywhere, right? So I don't know, why would you do that? It's true that sometimes I would actually open the packaging, pull out the pockets with the seasoning and stuff, but only in cases where the seasoning is like in like a very huge pocket, you know, that sort of like prevents you even from breaking the noodles up. But typically you don't need to open the packaging before you break them up. So what we're gonna do here actually, we're gonna break the noodles in the middle, right? Carefully. So let me actually show you how you can comfortably break them up, even with the packaging already open. So we're gonna pull one half out. Right. It's gonna be our block, so to speak. And now we just sort of hold the top, and this is for ASMR enthusiasts. Now we just break it up while holding the top of the packaging. Now, if you're gonna go for breaking the noodles up, all right, use the packaging. We're gonna put that aside, the seasoning rather. Now, it's interesting that I obviously typically don't do it. It's split, right? I do either one or the other. So it's interesting, this time the breaking was like really easy. So we had a little bit of an accident here. But what I would typically do, or rather, let me show you. So you can see that, let me actually try to. Oh, you can do it, you can see it on this one maybe. You can see that the noodles, first of all, they are like pre-fried and then just like, you know, I guess squished into this form or whatever. But you can see that they're actually like, at least these ones. The other ones might be a little bit differently, but these ones are actually stacked in sort of like two different layers. So I can sort of like break one layer apart, and you can see that the second layer is still like continuing, right? So typically, if you wanna break them up and actually save some water, let's call it that. Using less water has one more advantage. I'm gonna talk about it later. But when you're actually breaking them up, at least I would wanna typically break or separate these two layers as well. Because if you don't do that, you're gonna have these solid blocks sort of like poking out, right? And you're gonna see that once I pour the water in. And then you're gonna, to actually fully submerge them underwater, you're gonna have to use way more water than you would normally use. So that's why if you're gonna go for breaking the noodles, that means, I mean, you definitely do wanna, well, may wanna break them up even by these layers, right? It's fine if you have like one big chunk, typically, but you know, if you're gonna have several of them, they're gonna like, unless you wait a little bit or just like, you know, make sure that they get somewhat exposed to water, you might end up with parts of the noodles sort of like, you know, crunchy when compared to the rest. So that's why if you're gonna break them up, you might as well, oh no, you might actually see on this, yeah. See, this is the one layer. Oh, sorry. And this is like the second floor, let's call it that. So yeah. That's why you do that's how you do it. And like I said, it's probably a matter of preference. There's a one thing about pasta that sometimes gets thrown about, or just by some people, you know, that it doesn't, the shape doesn't matter, you know, it doesn't matter, it all tastes the same. And that's not true. The quality of like chewing and like the resistance the pasta puts up actually does make a difference, right? So you have two factors here. Now this block, even if you leave it intact, once you eat it, you're gonna have to break it up, right? You're gonna break it apart anyway. Actually, as you're gonna see, it's still gonna be better to break it up because, you know, otherwise you would have to, in this case, while using this plate, you would have to use way too much water to actually fully submerge it and, you know, have it fully exposed. So yeah, so on one hand you have slurping, or what breaking them up actually does is, because if you break them up, you don't actually have to like break the noodles and themselves as you would do with these halves. This half, you're actually gonna end up with these little blocks. They are quite delicious on their own because they put up a lot of resistance, right? If you chew them, since the noodles are still like entangled with each other, they keep this shape more or less, and that on its own, it's real also quite good. So it depends, you know. I guess it depends how lazy you want to go. But yeah, those are the options. Now let's boil the water and let's see if the circuit breaker can take it. If I go offline immediately, then you know what happened to me, alright? Let's try it. Let's try this. Alright, the kettle is boiling the water. We still have power. Now I purposefully actually turned the noise suppression for the stream off. So you might hear it boiling, I think. If I even turn it this way. Yeah, you might hear the kettle boiling. So yeah. Like I said, this is like really strong kettle. It's like 3000 watts or something. So I think I put a little too much water in, but it should be fine anyway. But yeah, it's pretty powerful. That's why I was a little bit worried. The power grid would not hold. So yeah. Oh, anyway, actually, I kind of forgot in all that intro talk. I forgot about the seasoning and stuff. Now, on a lot of the cheaper ones, you might get only like one packet, right? Only something like this, and that's the seasoning, and that's it. Now, some of the others might throw in the oil, vegetable oil, and also, at least, so it claims to be vegetable. Well, whatever. Now, I typically don't use this at all because the noodles themselves, as I said, were already pre-fried, so they have a bunch of fat or oil or whatever on them already. And if you put this in, Not only it obviously makes it that much more unhealthy, not that healthiness should be your concern when consuming these, obviously, but it makes it sort of, you know, just greasy and disgusting. So that's why I don't typically use this at all. Maybe just like 1 or 2 drops and that's it, really. But other than that, no thank you. Don't want it. Get it away from me. So I don't use the oil at all. And now let me get to why I consider this particular noodle soup or noodles, whatever, you know, that solid. It's because it has, well, first of all, this basic seasoning, which is like the chicken stuff. Basically, it's supposed to be chicken flavored, so it's that's what provides you with the chicken flavor, right? And some vegetables, I guess, stuff like that. But then it also has this little red chili packet, which makes it I wouldn't say very spicy, but spicy enough to notice, even for the, you know, biggest spice enthusiast or whatever you call it. So it's spicy, but not that spicy, really, to be quite honest. So yeah, and altogether it has quite nice taste. So what you want to do is you want to like grab it by the end. You're gonna cut off, and then you just like shake it like this, so that powder gets all like thrown to the one side, right? So it doesn't. Now, do I actually have scissors here? No, I don't. Hold on, let me see. Fine. Oh, wait, never mind. It's all good. I have a Swiss Army knife. So we're gonna use that. Typically I would use scissors, but let's... Jesus Christ. It's gonna work even. Alright, you might have to employ a different tactic, and... Yeah, okay. It actually goes apart by these little... I don't know if you can see that, but... No. See how it has these little teeth along one side, so you can typically rip it open with these. This one actually put up some resistance, but alright. So, like, I've also seen some people suggesting that you put the seasoning in later, after you've boiled the noodles themselves. And that might be something you want to do if you do them like in a separate container first, and then put them into something you're gonna eat them from. But I've actually tried to put them. I typically put them in, you know, before I pour the water in. And I've tried it other way, to put the seasoning in after the noodles themselves already been sitting in the water for some time. And honestly, I didn't notice any difference. So, just gonna put it in. Just gonna try to sort of evenly. I might want to actually boil the water again. Should be really fast this time. So just like, yeah, that's nice. I put it all in. Some people also suggest to put only some of it in, but I don't do that. I don't care. I like the intense taste, if anything. So let's put it all in. Okay, so I'm gonna let the water boil again, and you'll see how this blocks how keeping the noodles intact makes things a little difficult when you're dealing with a plate like this, or just any smaller container. It's very fast this time. All right. So let's see. Now I'm gonna try to pour it over all of the area so that it sort of like pushes the seasoning through. And already you can see here, or maybe you can't see, but you can see I'm gonna describe. The noodles that have been broken up are already fully submerged. So you could get away with only this much water. The block, however, is like still almost by half above the water level. So we're gonna have to, because of that, we're gonna have to add some more. I'm still not gonna add too much. At least not enough to actually fully submerge the block. I guess that's what we call it now. The block. So, now let's talk about time, alright? Now I typically, the simple noodle soup like this, I let sit in the water for like 8 minutes. That's like the time that I can, figured out that's the best for these kinds of products. No matter what the packaging says typically, I know that it works best that way. So I'm gonna have it for 8 minutes, and like I said, the block is a little more difficult. If you wanna screw around with it, you can like just take the water out. You might wanna stir it at least a little bit. It's not really needed very much, but at least a little bit. So even though this block won't go apart straight away, it will loosen up. So you can kind of keep squishing it, and in time it should separate enough, let's call it loosen up enough to at least mostly go underwater. Now one thing to note is that a lot of the water you pour in is gonna evaporate. Well, maybe not. What I wanted to say, that majority of the noodle, of the waters, Jesus Christ, of the water, it's gonna get sucked up by the noodles, right? Some of it is gonna evaporate, but most of it is gonna get sucked up by the noodles themselves. But if you pour this much, you're still gonna end up with a lot of water, which is something I don't like very much. I mostly like the noodles themselves. That's like that's my shit. I don't really. It might be a weird thing to say, but I don't really like soup in general. Just don't like the soups. any kind of soup I don't really like. The watery thing doesn't work for me. So I typically want as little water left over in it as possible. The block makes this very difficult. So we're gonna end up with a little more water than I would like to. But as you can see, you can sort of push the block in and make it a little more workable. So yeah. Like I said, once you actually eat it, you're still gonna break the noodles apart anyway. So I'm just kind of pushing it away from each other very gently. It's kind of sensual in a weird way. Yeah. So yeah, that's what you do. And you can see that the water has gotten a very nice color. A lot of it is probably from the chili, but it's all good. So yeah, you can see that the block is beaten, it seems. We have about 4 minutes in, so just 4 more minutes, and then we're gonna go to the good part. My God, it is kind of sexual in a weird way, almost. Just gently pushing it in. So anyway, gonna hydrate. All right. So pushing in a little bit more. I think this is already fine. Now, typically the 8 minutes I've spoken about is kind of like a borderline. I have discovered that if you leave it leave it in the water even a little bit more. Let's say we reach 10 minutes. By that point, the noodles are already turning kinda too weak, you know, too squishy, too mushy, as Gordon Ramsay would say. It's mush. So we don't want to overshoot it. 8 minutes is sort of like a golden standard to, you know, let all the noodles get nice. But if you go overboard, you're probably gonna end up with noodles a little more squishy than you would like. Probably. I don't know. If you like that sort of stuff, you might still go along with it. But, yeah. Alright, it's looking good. We have about 2 minutes to go. So yeah, that's the stuff. So you probably don't want to consume this too much, by the way. Obviously, it's not very healthy. I'm not gonna lie to you that it's healthy, but it has its uses. So, like, for example, I would sometimes eat this when I feel after the stream little drained or spent, you know, kind of just out of energy. Lots of talking typically involves those streams. So I would get something like that. Or if you're hungover, you know, you had a wild party or whatnot, and you're feeling a little, you know, you feel intoxicated, and you need something to kind of absorb that intoxication. So you will eat that, or McDonald's, you know, whatever. So yeah. So you can see that the block has almost become undistinguishable from the ones that were broken apart. But the way we eat them is still gonna be very difficult, very different, I mean, because let me show you, you can just grab these, no problem. These ones are still mostly attached to each other, so those are the ones we're gonna slurp. So it might get a little messy, let's be honest. We'll see. I'm gonna try my best. Alright, 8 minutes have elapsed, so let's go. Now, as I said, I don't like too much water in this, so what I will do, and this will be a little more work than usually it is, because we added so much water, I'm just gonna slurp up all the water. That's right. It's like a little bit of a, it's like a little appetizer in a way. So, yeah. Now that the flavor of the broth is hitting me, there's also one more reason why you may not want to add too much water. At least if you are gonna be adding the seasoning in with the noodles before water, is obviously the taste might get a little more dissipated or spread out than you would like. With these, I mean, obviously, I'm sucking up the water anyway. But what it might be an issue is if you're buying some instant noodles that aren't like this, aren't like a broth of sorts, but are like a sauce, you know, like all these pasta instant products, whatever, with some sauce, like cheese or something like that. Where if you add too much water, the sauce is gonna end up very watery, which obviously you don't want, because then you once again end up with a soup and not like a nice little sauce with your noodles. So this is a little bit of work, and this might shock you. I know some people very much eat it with the water still in, you know, and I just don't like it. because I like the noodles themselves very much. So I like to enjoy them quite dry. So by this point, oh, they are a little bit spicy. Hold on. By this point, it has become very mobile, right? Hold on. Oh, there you go. You can kind of move it apart, move it along, and you can just grab it like this and continue sucking the water. Now, if you keep them in block, hold on, let me put it here back. If you keep it in block, it's gonna be easier to slurp the water because the noodles are gonna stay in one formation. Whereas if they're broken up, they're gonna want to get on in that spoon. Don't you let them in. No, you wanna enjoy them nice and dry. So we're... Oh, actually, let me... Oh god. So you just kinda tilt it a little bit. Some of the smaller ones might still get in. That's... I'm a little bit messy. That's fine. But definitely don't want to let in any bigger chunks. Yeah. So... Well, go a little faster now. And like I said, I like them very dry. But you do want to, at least I typically do it, you do want to let a little bit of water, very tiny bit, in it. Because then, once you're done with slurping the majority of the water, you're gonna want to mix it in with the noodles, so they are, you know, so there isn't exactly like a lake of leftover water or anything like that. But they are still not like totally dry. I know I said I like them dry. That's true. But what I meant by that was not to have any like leftover water still like a fucking lake in the middle of your plate. But you don't want to make them exactly dry, you know. You know, it's dry, not dry. So. Now it gets a little... Oh no, let me... Jesus, these angles. Now it gets a little bit tricky because you need to tilt it quite a bit to get most of the water out. Like I said, it's like a nice little appetizer, especially with these more spicy ones. Because... yeah. The taste mostly stays still in your mouth, even when you're eating the noodles themselves. Good, good. Alright, let me actually... No. More like this so we can chew more. Oh god. It's the angles! They're too tricky. So yeah. You would need to like tilt it. Get all the water and take care to not let any noodles in. Almost about done here. Now we're getting just last major pockets of water. There we go. Alright. Maybe one more. It's really good actually. That's what I like on this one. Is the taste is actually good. Doesn't taste too fake. as a lot of these usually do. Alright, I think we're good here. So, you can see that this half, those are the ones that I've broken up. You can see that these larger chunks still staying together. They're still staying in the formation. And the block we kept unbroken still also very much still stays together. It feels like the noodles from block are still gonna be a little still a little bit stiffer than the rest, but that's fine. So now we get to the good part. We eat the noodles themselves. Now I'm gonna take this one block. See, and it has, because it was still kept in one piece, it had that little bit of like a little bit of resistance in it. You know, when you chew on it, it's not just like you chew right through. It's sort of like it puts up a little bit of resistance as it like it was supposed to, like I don't know, like a little spring of almost. I mean, there are a little bit of a spring shape, something like that. But yeah, they put up a little bit of resistance in this formation, and that's very nice. It's very nice. That's why you want to break them up if you're gonna eat it this way, but not too much, right? Not too much. So yeah. Also, what I would typically do now that I'm done eating the bigger chunks, but typically I would want to try to eat the smaller pieces and then enjoy the bigger chunks. That's very nice. Oh. It's very nice. Very nice. See, it doesn't taste very oily, despite it having probably a lot of oil in it. But because we didn't add this, you know, it doesn't have that disgusting greasy quality, but obviously it's not a quality exactly. So yeah, it's still very nice. Now we get to the block. Yes, the block. Let me see what it does. See, they are like, it's kind of difficult to get them in because a lot of them will just end up hanging out like this. So, but I'll admit, slurping feels pretty good. The slurping is obviously easier with like real ramen noodles that aren't this curly. They're a little more straight. You can just like just suck them in. You know, that's obviously much easier than with these ones. It will just fall off your spoon. Nice. Very nice. Like I said, this one, appropriately called Yum Yum, always good, always reliable. Definitely recommend. Definitely recommend. Let's get some more slurping action. Oh yeah. Now that's a good one. If you get well, it's over. So I would say, if you just want to be very comfortable and just sit down and eat some noodles, I would say break them up. But if you're, if you you know, if you don't, I don't know, if the idea of putting some minimal work in at least, if that idea isn't completely disgusting to do, I would say keep them in one block. Deal with the water level being a little higher than usual, and then enjoy slurping. I typically wouldn't do it in the past, but recently I have learned to appreciate the slurping ways. Now, one thing I actually kind of forgot about, and the thing that I typically will do, and why I was saying that you would want to leave at least some of the water in, is that you're gonna end up with the seasoning kind of sticking to the plate floor, plate bed, ocean bed, whatever. There on the bottom, all right. And then you can like in this form you can like stir them up with everything. Probably not when you have the block, because then you will break the block apart a little too much. But yeah, that's something to do, especially if you break them up. So yeah. Oh, that's it. Yum yum chicken flavor. Definitely recommend. Very good, very solid. I imagine there can be some better ones, so that's why when we get to ranking, I'm gonna leave myself a little bit of a leeway to get even higher. But I would say yum yum definitely very good. Now, while I'm finishing the noodles, let me get to another segment of ours, and that is a quote of wisdom from our noodle god. Now, just as noodles get a little bit, tangled up and perhaps even confusing in times, words of the noodle god aren't always that clear. So, let's see what the noodle god has to say to us this time. He says, "Prepare for failure, yell, and do not expect anything." Now, let's think about it. How do we interpret this? Prepare for failure, that's kind of obvious, expect failure. Do not automatically assume that you're gonna succeed in life, and just in anything really. So be prepared for failure. That's pretty obvious. But the next part is kind of, well, the yelling part is kind of really the most confusing, isn't it? Yell and do not expect anything. Looks like Noodle God is in a little bit of a pessimistic mood. Now that was a good one. I don't know if you've noticed, but I typically leave the spoon under the noodles so it doesn't become that messy. You know what? The shirt still completely clean, so a little bit of a lesson on cleanliness of your eating as well. Very nice, very nice. So yeah, prepare for failure, yell, and do not expect anything. I guess yelling part is, a way to deal with your failure. Now, if I would dare to criticize the noodle god, I would say there are better ways to deal with your failure. For example, trying to do better next time. But I guess wisdom from Noodle God for this episode is, just get it out. Just get it out if you fail and, feeling down. Just get it out. Yell, cry, beat up somebody. Probably not that last one, but, unless you find somebody who's into it. So, yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Now, hold on, let me switch to this. Now, I'll always clean up the whole plate. I never leave even a little piece of noodle in. Get them all. Oh yeah. It's like a little mini game at the end there. Right. Nice. Now, I would even lick up the plate. But I'm not gonna do it on the camera. It might be interpreted as something not decent for this. I'm not doing that. Once again, I guess it's it's kind of interesting that the program interprets yellow as a straight up green. So anyway, yum yum, chicken flavor. Yeah, nice, very nice. Just always super solid. So yeah, not very expensive. I think it's in my country it's I think under $1 definitely. If you get them on sale, buy a whole bunch of them. I'd say go for it. Although I'm not sure if they are sold in other countries. I would expect it at least. Yeah, probably. You know, look and you will find them, hopefully. So, now, let's go to our ranking. There we go. I have set up some little bit of a makeshift thing, but it will do for now. So, yum yum chicken. Well, let me actually talk about the categories we're going to be ranking these by. Now there are 4 qualities. Why did I call this one taster? It's supposed to be taste. So, first quality, noodles. You know, just how well they taste, obviously, but you know how good can you slurp them? How if they get like too easy, too mushy, you know. Some of the cheaper ones do get pretty easily all messed up and not good at all. So noodles, that's the first quality. Broth and sauce, that's the next one. That's again depends on what exactly you're buying, because we're not gonna be going or looking strictly at this kind of ramen type. But like I said, even on some of these with like a sauce based. So yeah, that's let's say like how rich it is and how fulfilling it tastes. Again, some of the cheaper ones can be really underwhelming. So the rating that. Taste is, I guess, you know, the typical, I guess, like the overall experience from eating this. We might actually, I might consider replacing this one with some other factor. I came up with like mobility or difficulty of preparing the meal, but you know what these products typically shine in is, you know, they're very, very mobile and easy to prepare. So for now, this is just like an overall taste. You know, I guess how well these two, the noodles and the broth or the sauce, play together. And the last, but I would say almost maybe the most important, is the fake factor. That is, of course, how fake does it taste? How fake does it appear in your mouth? Because again, of course, with some of the cheaper ones, you can just you just taste one spoon and you can immediately just taste all the wackiness, all the chemicals, all the fakeness in it. It's not good, ruins the whole experience. Don't want it. Definitely don't want that. So fake factor is pretty significant. Honestly, I've had even some of the, you know, let's say better ones, and also more expensive ones that would, like, on the surface taste pretty good, but would leave this little bit of a really fake and chemical aftertaste after them, and it's just, it kind of ruins the whole thing. So unless the product fails in this category, I don't think it can like fully be considered like a good one. You know? I guess you could call it the McDonald's factor. But yeah, although McDonald's typically feels fake, you know, more after that, after the fact, after you've already eaten the whole thing. So yeah. Now, like I said, this is a Yum Yum is is a very reliable one. So I've chosen this for that very reason, to establish some sort of basic bar. You know, so in the future we can ask, is this chicken or whatever soup better than Yum Yum? And you know, we can base some of our future judgments on that. So that's why I've purposefully chosen this one. So I would just like to say that these numbers aren't gonna be strictly like deciding the final order of things. I might just on a whiff decide to move some of them, you know, higher than others, even despite, you know, the final score not exactly insinuating that, but you know, it's more like a guideline, really. It's not a rule, it's more like a guideline. So anyway, I would say this just has a 7 in all of them. This is out of 10, obviously. So yeah, that's that. That's the final score. 28 out of 40 possible. So that's our baseline. That's our not really middle ground, I guess, because I'm sure we can find some really awful ones and some truly in the middle. But you know, at least we have some basic level, some sort of establishing line. So yeah, that's it. I think that's our show. That's a Noodle Wars episode 1. Let me see if I forgot something, but yeah. Oh, actually, one nice thing about this, now that what I'm noticing just now, is that even though it's quite spicy when you eat it, and I can imagine that some people out there who are like very sensitive to that kind of stuff wouldn't even want to like full blast of the red chili from this one. But even though it's quite spicy when you eat it, there isn't much of a you know, relenting aftertaste that would just burn in your throat forever. No, it's you know, you have this little broth flavor still in your mouth, but it's quite nice. It's quite nice. It's not awful. It doesn't feel awful. I still wouldn't recommend you eating this like 10 minutes before going to sleep. And trust me, I have done something like that, definitely. as a sort of little bit of a night owl, I will do horrendous stuff like that occasionally, but I definitely wouldn't recommend it. You know, like I said, this is best when you're hungover, when you're just feeling depleted, you know, so you can eat this and receive this just bomb of taste and richness. At least with this one, I can't say the same thing about some of the cheaper ones. So yeah, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Something were still little, you know, makeshift in the first episode. I definitely did some stuff very last minute. That's late minute isn't something you say. It's last minute. Yeah. So I do intend to improve quite a bit on the future episodes still, but you know, we got it in. First episode is in. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you even you know, took something from this. Try to make this show even a little bit informative. But yeah, that's it. That's the first episode. Next one is gonna be on Monday, as it is as this one was supposed to be. And we are gonna, you know, as I was talking about it, now that we have established some sort of like a nice, good standard of soup that you can always go to, I think in the next episode it's time to delve into the basement, the bottom, the gutter, the trash. That's right. We're gonna be doing some of the cheaper ones, some of the worst ones. No, I think I even like at some point I was capable of just making 2 of these and just making like a giant meal out of them. Jesus Christ. Well, anyway, we'll get to that next time. So, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can follow the stream, subscribe to the stream, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to YouTube, subscribe to the other YouTube, and all that stuff. Yeah. And especially tune in next week, on Monday. 7 p.m. my time at least. Everything is in the schedule. So, yeah. That's it. Thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna see you in the next episode.